So if it's happened to me, it's probably happened to you. And if it hasn't yet, it probably will at some point in your stacking journey. What is it? Getting a coin shop horror story. Now mine run the full gamut of, from very minor nothing inconveniences to kind of feeling like, all right, that's a little bit shady, and everything in between. But today I wanted to talk about some of my coin shop horror stories, if you'll call them that. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is an experience I had with a pretty reputable shop here in the area, or at least the area where I used to work. And this coin shop was Coin Connection. It's out in Burbank. Pretty good shop. The main guy, Paul, knows his stuff. He's been doing it for a long time. He's kind of no nonsense, kind of gruff. But once you're used to it, it's not as intimidating as it is when you first walk in. But anyway, I had gone in there, purchased a 1 ounce maple. I think it was like a 2019. So it was like brand new, shiny, beautiful coin. Still have it. But was looking at it and I was asking myself, oh wow, I really like this. Myself, big fan of the maples. And especially for a bullion coin, I feel like with the security features, the look of them, they're just a really good looking coin. And when you're buying gold, especially, it's one of those things that, yes, gold is gold, just like silver is silver. But it definitely makes a difference if you can look at your gold and say, damn, that looks pretty awesome. Now, having an ounce of gold isn't in the cards for everybody, but, it's a pretty decent sized purchase, especially if you're purchasing multiple ounces. And that's where actually I ran into my problem, or at least one of my issues with this particular coin shop. So for me, I had gone in and I had purchased a 1 ounce maple, and beautiful, straight out of the package, and I was pretty happy with it. So I had given, they said they had more, but I didn't have time to wait for them to get it out of the safe. So I paid for it, another 1 ounce maple, and it was going to come back the next day to pick it up. So I wasn't able to come back the next day, but I came back about 2 days later to pick up my maple, and they let me know that they had actually sold it. They didn't have any more of that. But they let me know that, hey, we can get you this Krugerrand here for the same price. And it was again, we're talking about a brand new maple leaf, gold maple leaf, 1 ounce, versus a 1984 Krugerrand. So I was sitting there thinking to myself, wait, I know the Krugerrand has wide recognizability. Now those outside the United States would say, oh well, it's just as known, everybody loves the Krugerrand. Yeah, here in the States, it's not as loved for whatever reason. And so for myself, it wasn't even so much about that. It was just the fact that I had my heart set on the maple. But it was funny because they kind of tried to not sell me on, but push me towards taking the Krugerrand. They're like, it's the same thing, la da da. I was like, yeah, it's not the same thing. However, you know what? At the time, I was just like, all right, whatever. Let me just take the Krugerrand. So for the price that they had sold me a 1 ounce maple, new 1 ounce maple, I got a lightly used Krugerrand. It was cool to me to have a Krugerrand just because it was something different, but right away after I had the Krugerrand, I was just like, I don't know if this is what I thought it would be. I don't know if this is what I wanted. And the fact that I was, purchased something but was given something else. And like I said, I could have been like a hard ass about it and been like, I'm not going to take it. I want my maple, which is in hindsight what I probably should have done. But I just, I was so caught off guard by the fact that they had sold my maple that I was just like, all right, let's just, I'm ready to get out of here. Let's just give me the gold, whatever. Anyway, that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth with that, particular coin shop, because it felt like, I had been going there for years. So at that point, they should have known, all right, this guy's not a total noob. But, that wasn't the only thing that, caught me off guard with that particular coin shop. Another instance for me was I had, the great thing about this particular coin shop is, if you're familiar with California, this coin shop's in Studio City, which is a very affluent area. There's a lot of affluent areas around here, but very affluent area. There's a lot of movie stars and just old money that lives in that area. And I had gone, like, I loved going to that coin shop because, for better or for worse, there's a lot of people that pass away in the area where their kids come in and sell off their stack for pennies on the dollar. No, not quite that bad, but they don't know what they have, so they're just willing to get rid of it for cash, whatever. So going in there was a lot of treasures to be had if you came in at the right time. If you came in right after somebody who just had liquidated their stack. So, like, going in there, the other great thing is they have a good display. So, like, whatever they get in, they immediately just throw it in the display, most of the stuff, to just flip it over. They're not trying to hold on to inventory for the most part. So it was always nice to go in there and be able to get, like, kookaburras or old maples or collectible, reverse proof eagles or whatever they had in the display, which was pretty cool. But in one instance, so obviously there's a lot of buyers in the community of things like Engelhard and things like that, but a particularly interesting story, I don't know about a horror story, but it kind of feels like that, was at the coin shop, obviously the main guy's not always there. They had employees, and there was this one guy there who was kind of shady, who kind of had that salesy vibe, that he was just trying to, like, mark up stuff to get more money, which I guess, I don't know how they make their money. I'm assuming they get paid hourly, but it is what it is. Anyway, the first time I'd ever seen one of these guys, the 1 ounce Engelhard bar, this was probably 2020. So I saw a few of these in the case. Now, this is actually the nicer of the two. I have another one that it just has a frosted back, doesn't have the embossing, but the front is the same. And, I was like, oh, that's cool. It was like, obviously the Engelhard bars are collectible, even though these ones are very easy to come by. But I had gone in there and I was like, how much for that? And he's like, $100. I was like, and again, at this time, spot was going up, but it was probably like 24, 25. But this was when premiums were insane. And I was thinking to myself, there's no way that 1 ounce of Engelhard silver is worth $100. So it was like, $100. I was like, why is it so expensive? So this guy brings it up on, like, eBay. He's like, look, it's selling for $100. And I was like, so at that time I was newer to stocking, but I definitely wasn't new. And even I knew, like, anyone can sell anything, list anything, online for what they want for it. Doesn't mean that someone's actually going to buy it. So I'm sitting there like, no. So I didn't want to be a jerk, but I did want it. So I offered him like $60, and he ended up going to the back and asking, like, the main guy, like, oh, hey, for a good customer, can we, sell this for 60? Which is still, obviously, even at the time, I was like, this is definitely not worth it, but I just wanted it. And he was like, yeah, we could take 60 for it. I was like, oh, wow, you're doing me such a big favor. But it felt really shady. It felt like, you're trying to take advantage. Which, again, like, if I was a complete novice, I would have handed him over 100, which would have been, 3 times what it was worth? As it was, I already got hosed for probably double what it was actually worth. No, I would say that this thing at the time was probably maybe $35, $40 max. Anyway, I mean, those kind of things definitely make an impression. They make you not want to go back there. And especially, since it's so hard to find a reputable shop as it is, when you get treatment like that, it really is definitely a turnoff. It doesn't make you want to go back there, and if you do, you're really going to be more of a hard ass to find what it is that you want. Now, another interesting story, finding another coin shop after I lost that one. So I tried a few coin shops in the area, or more accurately to describe them as pawn shops that pose as coin shops, because they're kind of gold and silver pawn coin shops, which is just a glorified pawn shop. Anyway, so one day I went in there to sell that Krugerrand, because I was just like, I'm just going to dump this Krugerrand because the prices, spot was high. And I was like, if I can get maybe like, a little bit over spot, like $50 over spot, like, I'll just get rid of it. So anyway, I go in there, I'm like, yeah, I just want to sell this, blah, blah, blah. It should be a very straightforward transaction, because bullion is bullion, especially if it's in decent condition. I mean, there's really no ambiguity to it. If it's real, I mean, there's a price there, and it's within a certain range. Anyway, when I went into this particular place, they're like, oh, you have to talk to our coin expert. I was like, okay. So I'm waiting around while, again, in this questionable, seedy pawn shop type place, and just, waiting like, yeah, the sooner I can get the hell out of here, the better. And so anyway, the coin expert is like, oh, well, we could, I think at the time, spot was like 2,000 something. And the coin expert's like, yeah, we can give you 1,900. And I was like, wait. So you're going to offer me $100 plus below spot for gold? For a gold coin? I'm like, no. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like, why would you think that anyone would accept that? And she's like, oh, well, we could get it, we can get it for that price. And I'm like, no, you can't, because if you could, you'd be making an insane killing all day long, because then you could sell it at spot, which you would have a never-ending client base. I'm like, that's just not true. She's like, yes, it is true. So she brings up some garbage iPad, and she's like, look, it's listed right here for this price. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, you must think I'm super gullible. I'm like, so because this website says that you can buy it for that. She's like, yeah, only dealers can buy it for this price. I'm like, again, no, that's for sure a lie. I'm like, so let's just watch you buy some right now. She's like, well, why would I buy any? I was like, because you could turn around and sell it at spot and make a 10% profit right off the top. No problem, all day long. I was like, that's a huge profit. Why would you not want to take that? And she's just like, no, ridiculous. And I was like, this is shady. Like, I wonder how many people fall for this kind of thing, that they just come in and they're like, yeah, this is why we're selling it to you. Look, this is how much it's worth. Again, if you go into that kind of place and you're just ready to sell, then maybe they fall for it and they just sell. But it's been crazy to think that, so many people, especially stackers, it's hard enough to be a stacker as it is, but one of a few times that you get taken advantage of, I mean, you're really going to have a bad taste in your mouth about stacking or collecting or anything like that. And then ask yourself, what's the natural progression there? Where do you go next to get your bullion? You go back to good old SD bullion, baby, trying to get that monster box full of tissue paper and Werther's original, from Dr. Tyler War, or whatever the hell his name is. That is where you need to be. You need to give all of your money to SD bullion. If you don't, Yankee stacking and SD bullion or Silver Dragons, they shed a tear every time you don't make a purchase from SD bullion. I personally also get upset. I mean, I get anxiety every time someone buys from APMEX or JM Bullion. Anyway, little things like that. It's really funny, and that brings to mind too another video that I was watching by The Seeker. And again, give The Seeker some credit. He's a bullion shill. However, it's very interesting because at the end of the day, he does do his homework. He does, provide good content, and he is very informed on the subject, which I appreciate. I may not agree with all of his views, but he was at a coin show and he was asking, the coin show dealers, what do you think about silver? So what do you expect them to say? I'm here selling silver. Do you expect me to say no? Silver is a bad investment and no one should be buying it. I'm trying to sell it. Seeker, what do you think we do here? So anyway, it was pretty funny though, because he's asking them, this, I think this video was made right after the debt ceiling was handled, or right before, and he's barely like uploading it now, but he was talking about the $1 trillion coin and things like that were topics at the time. But it's just funny because he's asking them like, hey, do you think it's a good idea that we mint the $1 trillion coin? And everybody's like, no, that's bad, that's terrible. Which, I mean, again, it's not one way or the other. But it was funny because he was talking about, what do you think about the future of fiat? Like, what, how many countries do you know of that have, the fiat has just collapsed, and the people are like, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Venezuela. I'm like, dude, what do you expect? These are the talking points they have to spout all day long to sell their wares. I'll do the same thing. I would even do an interpretive dance so that you could see, how enthused I am about silver, whatever it takes to make the sale. But it's just funny because one guy, This is platinum, Perth platinum penguin, by the way. But one guy, he asked, so do you think that could happen here in the United States? And this guy actually, give him credit. I'll give him credit. He stopped himself because he was sitting there like, contemplating. He was about to say yes, and he stopped himself, and he was like, you could see the pause, and he was like, no, I don't think it'll happen to that extent here. But, I think da-da-da. And I was like, good man. I would trust that man, because even though I don't agree with his view, I feel like, he wanted very badly to go along with the hype and spread the FOMO, but he didn't. He stopped himself and gave a rational response, with, again, still in line with his viewpoint, but he wasn't there to hype it. And I can appreciate that. But I laughed because I was just like, what do you expect asking these guys who are selling it? It's crazy. Again, to me, it's like, if you want to be realistic, let's do a real commercial for silver. Hey, you want to buy something where you're 30% underwater from day one, and we call it an asset. And then when you go to sell it, that you're going to get spot if you're lucky. Now, that would be the infomercial for silver. It's a real asset you can hold. But hey, by the way, you're going to be 30% under when you buy it. And when we sell it, when you come to sell it to us, we're only going to pay you spot, because that's how highly we think of the silver that we sold you. It is a funny habit, funny stocking community. But it's a labor of love. Make no mistake. Buying silver and gold is the ultimate labor of love.